Hello, welcome to the Madroit Podcast. I, of course, am Jordan Haynes. Alongside me is founder, CEO of Madroit, Winston Hofer. Win, how are we doing today, man?
Doing great, Jordan. How are you?
Fantastic. So, guys, to those of you who might be new to our podcast, Winston and I cover a wide variety of marketing topics and business best practices to help your business achieve marketing success and growth. That is why we are here. And today, what we're going to talk about specifically is one of the most vital parts of your website, digital presence as a whole, and a crucial element to helping your consumers find you. Folks, what we're diving into today is SEO and how it benefits your business overall.
Hey, before jumping into everything, Jordan, help us out here. What is SEO?
Yeah, SEO, search engine optimization. It pertains to your organic content that is out there online that people are searching for, that ultimately can help bring them into your business and find the products and services that you're selling. So what I'll pose to you is, why does it matter?
Yeah, great question. It's so important. It matters to every business. It's your address online. It's how people find you. And if they can't find you, how can they buy your products and services? So it's that important.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it tells your consumers who you are and what you're doing. It's really the foundation. And then it's up to you to follow through on that and be a credible source for information. So I think this really pertains to anybody who is looking to buy your product, your service. They're going to be somebody who should be falling into the criteria and the content that you're overall producing on your website for SEO relevant. I think with that, when you're creating that content, some people want to be really clever with the things that they're putting out there and seem like they have a personality, right? Through their website copy. Sometimes that can mislead consumers, right? And they don't really necessarily know, or Google, when it's crawling your website, doesn't necessarily know who you are and what you're doing. So I think understanding who your customers are is a really important part to that process. So then you can create the content that's going to eventually bring them in when they're searching for terms that are relevant to your business. So when it comes to search engines, what are the search engines what are they doing to try to find who you are, right? What are they looking for? What are they doing when they're trying to determine if you are who you say?
Yeah. And I think so much that goes into it. So I'll try to be brief. There's so much we could dive into. Search engines like Google, like Bing, they look at your website and they scan the content. They crawl the website to see if this information is relevant for people using our search engine, then user. They also track to see how long people stay on your site and if it was valuable to them. So if you're constantly attracting traffic for the wrong terms and it doesn't line up with who you are and what you do, then if people are leaving, bouncing from your website, technical term, it tells Google and other search engines that your website isn't aligned with what our end user is looking for. So that's one way they look at your website. We can dive into all the technical aspects of that, but maybe another pod.
For sure. I agree. You can go really deep on that, but that point that you hit might be one of the most important and most significant, is that if you say that you're selling apples, for example, you should be able to tell people what kind of apples you sell, what your process is for how you produce them. And you should go into detail so then Google can use that information and basically say, yep, you know what? You check out. We believe you are who you say that you are. And as a result of you being who you say you are, we're going to promote you and we're going to be able to push people and suggest your website to people that are looking for the things that you sell and that you produce. So it's like such a simple example, but that's really and truly how it is.
So true.
And it's just support, right? Support with more and more content. And that ultimately just increases your value.
So true. Can I add one point there? Another aspect to that content, and it's so important, is the offsite SEO. I won't go too technical here, but a backlink from a credible source is like one big influential person telling people about your business, your organization. And if you have hundreds of people and they vary in their level of influence in their community, that impacts your SEO and how likely you are to show up in Google search results or Bing search results. So that content piece is huge. And then the offsite SEO is so critical. And I think it's often missed or not talked about as much as it probably should, because it's from like an execution standpoint, it's two different worlds of like content creation and the technical offsite SEO.
Yeah. Again, so many different ways to take it, so much that you can unpack with this. And I promise we will have another pod where we get more in depth on these things, because
Yeah.
backlinks alone is such a large element. And again, reach out to us if you have questions about how to build backlinks, what to do, and how to do it well. But pertaining to SEO, as we said, this is helping you attract your digital audience and reaching out. It's your digital storefront and helping people welcome in. It's that sign that sits outside your store that says, hey, we do this, come here, sale today, whatever the case might be. And that's what kind of helps bring people in. But also, as it pertains to selling, it's like having a digital sales team that's working for you around the clock. Like SEO doesn't need a break. SEO doesn't take PTO. SEO constantly works for you. And I think having that component and viewing them again as like a team member almost, right? Because the more organic traffic that gets brought into your website, the more credible you are into the eyes of the almighty Google. But then ultimately those eventually become opportunities, right? And that's where it goes from marketing to sales. So if you're concerned about SEO and you think maybe it doesn't matter too much, I promise you it does. I think other thing that I'll post to you with this is SEO is something that we have a lot of opinions on, but for those who think that it's just a set it and forget it thing, what are some of the reasons why it can't be a set it and forget it?
To be as brief as I can, because we could do a whole nother podcast on this, the algorithm is always changing. Google's constantly refining the algorithm because the end goal for them is to have the best search experience possible for the end user, because that keeps them coming back to Google. So for the business, you have to stay on top of that and be producing content at a regular pace that is appropriate to your audience and staying up to date with search engine best practices, which constantly change.
Kind of like marketing, right? Like the world as a whole, SEO always evolving.
So true. A quick analogy for all of this, SEO in a nutshell. Let's say you buy a house and you want people to come over and enjoy that house and buy a few things from you. So you do all this work to clean the house. You clean every room. You make it specific to what certain people you want to come over are interested in. That's the on-site SEO, making the content relevant, making it user-friendly. And the offsite, you can clean that house over and over again each month.
Oh yeah.
But if you're not inviting people to the house, no one's going to come over. And
Yep.
that's the offsite SEO. So the backlink building, the technical stuff, it's so important.
Couldn't agree more. And it reminds me, for whatever reason, I just had a flashback to like the first SEO audit that I went through as head of marketing. And we had our meeting scheduled and we were going to go through this. And admittedly, prior to me being there, we hadn't really paid too much attention to SEO as a whole in a while. So it was difficult to see where we were ranking so low in for some key terms that were really pertinent to our business. But doing nothing never fixes the problem. So we started chopping off piece by piece, right? Page here, page there, changing content here, and then working with a great partner to make sure that we had keyword rich content that was relevant to our audience. Otherwise, the result is you continue to lose ground. And so as we began to work and began to get through all of this, we started to see some traction. So the gains at first were minimal, but then they grew and it just compounds. And then that growth in traffic eventually leads to growth in conversions and growth and then sales. So SEO can lead to some short-term gains from an overall traction standpoint, bringing more people in and attracting up a better audience, more qualified audience even. But then eventually it definitely had the ability to bring in more opportunities for our sales team, ultimately leading into better sales revenue for our business. So it can take some time, but I promise the time is worth it in the short term and the long term.
Well said.
So I think, so overall, our point here is SEO can have major benefits to your business as a whole and lead to great opportunities from a qualified audience. On the flip side of that, not optimizing and not making adjustments and being agile with your strategy could prevent you from ever having a chance to engage with new business opportunities that are out there and are looking for you. But again, if you don't have your hand up with Google, with Bing and those search engines saying, hey, we do this, they're never going to find you. So
Yeah.
again, making sure that we're in a good spot, making sure that your content and strategy is optimized and performing, essential for all of this. So guys, that's what we have in our episode for today. Again, please make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever and however you listen to your podcast. And if you have any questions at all for us, or there's things that you'd like to hear us talk about on the podcast, please feel free to get in touch with us at madroitmarketing.com/podcast. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome day.